Thanks so much, everybody, for being here. We're going to get started this morning. So for those who don't know me, my name is Mark. Professionally, I'm a lifestyle financial planner, and I typically work with women in finance, helping them identify, achieve, and maintain the lifestyle that they want without the fear of running out of money. Personally, I'm married to my beautiful wife, Nicole. I've got two amazing kids, Luke and Sephora. And my family really is my purpose, right? So they are the reason I get up and do what I do every day. And we're on a journey to building our best life together. And this is the work that I do for my clients. You know, my goal is to help people live amazing lives. And it's really fulfilling and rewarding to get to experience that with my clients. So joining me today, we've got Marius Reitz. Marius is the general manager at Luno Africa, well, for Africa at Luno. I'm pretty sure everyone knows who Luno is, but they're a global cryptocurrency company. Its head office is in London, which was interesting for me to know. I thought it was predominantly Joburg or South Africa, but Marius joined Luno in 2016. I think that was about the start, right? And he helped the company grow from what was 10 people now to a global team of around 800 people across 4 different continents. Marius shares his company's philosophy of being on a mission to upgrade the world to a better financial system. Personally, though, Marius, we touched on this just now, but he moved from Cape Town, specifically Paul, to Joburg. He's explained to me why now. After completing his studies at Stellenbosch, he's a father and a husband. His child is 3 months old, and although he says he enjoys being outdoors and playing golf, I'm pretty sure there's not much of that going on at the moment with the 3-month-old. Thanks for joining us today, Marius. Just some quick housekeeping. We'll keep this very informal. We will welcome all questions at all times. We will leave some time, try and leave some time at the end. I'm pretty sure we're going to be engaged in the full 50-minute conversation. We're going to open up the Q&A for actual questions, and then the chat function will just be more informal comments, right? So please use it accordingly. There'll be no presentation, no slides. It's just going to be a conversation between Marius and myself and you guys. So really, please jump in at any time, anything that pops up. I already see a couple of questions came in from our fraud conversation. But yeah, join us and share anything that you have with us. So, with that being said, I think just before we start, we'd like to open up with a poll, just to give us a brief idea with regard to the audience. So who here is already invested in crypto, right? The answers are yes, I am, no, I'm not, or I don't know enough yet. So let's just let those come in.
I'm not able to make my choice.
Yeah, I think that would be biased, Marius, if you went and put that in, right? No, they don't want us to put in to give our responses. Marius, just quickly while we wait for that, I wanted to ask you about, so Russia, Ukraine, terrible situation going on, but there was obviously big hype around the Russians trying to get their cash into crypto in order to get it out after the world sanctioned them. How did that play out?
I think there's a perception that sanctions don't apply to cryptocurrency platforms. The reality is that most cryptocurrency platforms also have to comply with sanctions on individuals in certain countries. At Luno, for example, when a customer opens an account, we do sanction checks to ensure that that person is not signing up from a sanctioned country or is not a sanctioned individual. And we rescreen each and every customer of Luno on a daily basis through global sanction lists, right? So the sanctions also apply to cryptocurrency platforms in the US, Europe, all around the world. Just the point on Russia. Russia actually is a very, very small play in the global crypto space. They, to put it into context, I think a couple of weeks ago, Russia's daily cryptocurrency volume was around, I think it was around $10 to $12 million per day. $10 million is small fry. On Luno in South Africa, on the same day, just on Luno, we had $40 million worth of cryptocurrency volume. Right, so there's no way that at a country level, Russia will be able to will be able to work around sanctions with $10 million worth of liquidity in the market. So it's a tiny player, really. I highly doubt whether there's mass payments running through crypto at this point. And we've actually seen, I looked at the data yesterday, there's been a drop from the 10-12 million. There's been a big drop, over the past week or two. The volume is even lower at this point. So
it's kind of more like feeding into this negativity about crypto, right? The Russians trying to hide their money via crypto when the actual numbers don't speak to that actually happening.
Yeah, I think obviously to some extent you will have some individuals using crypto. It's not avoidable, but for most extent, the ability for Russia to move crypto mass, also the technology has improved significantly. So through platforms such as Chainalysis and Elliptic, they do analysis on the blockchain. It would be very, very easy to identify movements from Russian-owned crypto wallets outside of Russia, and the US would be all over that in any case. So it's not the best way to be laundering funds these days through crypto. Yeah.
All right, cool. Let's maybe bring up those poll results quickly. Let's see. All right, wow. So 50% of people are invested, 17% not at all, and 34% are kind of there, but they just don't have enough information. So that's actually very, very interesting. So yeah, let's maybe kick it off with a general question, Marius. What exactly is cryptocurrency, and what was its original purpose?
Okay, thanks, Mark. There are more than 9,800 different cryptocurrencies currently in circulation, which is crazy because most people only know about Bitcoin, being the first one. Bitcoin specifically was, and I'll talk to crypto as Bitcoin. Bitcoin was created in 2008, and it was created out of the 2008-9 recession as sort of distrust in banks started to grow. A person or a group of people known as Satoshi Nakamoto issued a white paper, which is basically a document that sets out the purpose and the idea behind something. And it was created as digital electronic peer-to-peer money transfer system. So the ability for people to transact with each other directly without the need to use a middleman such as a bank or a central bank. Now, you can almost think of it as cash, right? For a cash payment today, if you have cash in your wallet and you transact with someone else, it's peer-to-peer. You hand over the cash to someone else and they hand over the goods, and there's no intermediary for that specific transaction. But it's not easy, it's clunky, it's not safe, you have to do it in person. So crypto to some extent solves that, right? Because it's a digital peer-to-peer payment. And the fact that it's peer-to-peer means that the fact that you don't rely on an intermediary to process that transaction speeds up the transaction. It removes people from that chain, and it also, in most cases, makes it cheaper. So we already have digital public peer-to-peer digital infrastructure for communications, the way we email each other, video calls, etc. But for some reason, before 2008, we didn't have public payments infrastructure for money, right? So Bitcoin really was the first public payments infrastructure, peer-to-peer payments infrastructure that enables people to transact with each other directly, digitally, without the need to use without the need to rely on a centralized company or company to process that payment. So that's in a nutshell. The easiest comparison is to look at it as digital cash, Mark.
Okay.
So although the original idea was for it to operate as a medium of exchange, and that is still the idea, people currently use it predominantly as an investment or as a means of speculation or as a store of value. I think the payments use case is still very strong, but for someone to start using something as a means of payment at a big scale, there needs to be certain network effects and mass adoption, right? Again, think of the email. The concept of the email was created or first created in the 1960s, but it was only in the early mid-1990s when we really started using email, and not at a large scale, and only probably in the early 2000s that most people opened email accounts and they started to communicate via email. Previously, it didn't make sense, right? Because why would you send out all your invoices to your customers via email if only 2 of them had emails? So that is the current state of the crypto payments market, right? Not everyone's willing to accept crypto. Half of the people in the school don't own crypto yet. They don't understand it yet. So why should someone be willing to accept crypto as a means of payment? So for it to be used as a means of payment, we first have to go through an asset phase. So people buy predominantly as an asset, as an investment, or as a means of speculation. And the more people that own it as an asset, the more adoption we see, the more network effects we will unlock. Similar to most other technologies or applications like Facebook or Instagram, the more people that use it, the more valuable it becomes for us to use it as well. So it's mostly used as an asset. On Luno, Mark, 90% of our customers never send or receive crypto. They just buy and hold. The average customer buys 450 rands worth of crypto for the first transaction. And the average customer holds onto their crypto for 10 months, which is probably still shorter, but it's not what you would expect, I would imagine. Interestingly, in 2017, the average customer held onto the crypto for 2 months. So we're seeing customers maybe holding on a little bit longer as more information becomes available and people have more trust in it. So that's in a nutshell.
So something that you mentioned there, in order for it to get to the actual intended purpose as a means of currency, we need to go through this asset class phase, right? So it's like the asset phase creates huge volatility, right? So if people are viewing it as an asset, and I wonder, you've referenced email and how long it took for adoption to kind of kick in, but how long do you anticipate, or does Luno anticipate there to be this asset phase before it could? I don't know if I think of stabilize now, I think there's no stabilizing. It's way too impossible, but maybe that goes with the asset phase.
Bitcoin is notoriously volatile, and it has been an ongoing theme for most of Bitcoin's existence. And we also know that the more volatile an asset is, the more risky it becomes for people to invest in. But there's also that saying that the higher the risk, the higher the potential reward. What makes it difficult to really comment or predict Bitcoin's sort of path as an asset and investment and specifically the volatility is that there's nothing to compare Bitcoin with. Really, it's the only type of asset in its class. What we've seen, and I just saw the comment there just now, we've seen the industry evolve, and we've seen new types of cryptocurrencies come to the fore, such as stablecoins. Now, a stablecoin is a form of cryptocurrency that's backed by either a fiat currency or a real world asset such as gold. You even these days get tokenized gold, which is cryptocurrencies that has some of the characteristics of cryptocurrency, meaning it's easy to move around globally, but it tracks the price of gold. So we're starting to see these products evolve from the original concept of Bitcoin stablecoins. We're seeing crypto ETFs these days where people buy into a basket of cryptocurrencies, some of which include stablecoins to remove some of the volatility of the prices. But I think that the only thing that will really reduce the volatility is adoption, right? And market capitalization. If we look at Bitcoin versus gold, gold has got thousands of years track record. I think it has a 10 or 11 trillion dollar market cap. Bitcoin has a market cap of 800 billion. So it's just logical that whenever there's big movements in the market, there's Elon Musk's tweet about something, the Bitcoin market is likely to be more volatile or to react more aggressively to that news event or that macroeconomical factor than something that's more stable like gold.
So, I was going to raise this point and you kind of addressed it on the comment that we got, but so we're talking a lot about Bitcoin. That is just one type of cryptocurrency, right? You mentioned, so my question was going to be, is there not something which is more stable, less volatile, and and you mentioned stable coin. So I think it's a stable coin. Is that so? You said that is a stable coin a cryptocurrency, but it's tied to like a fiat currency, to the dollar or to gold or to some form of tracking, something that we can track where we know what the performance is going to look like.
Correct. It's a type of a hybrid. So it has a lot of characteristics of a cryptocurrency. It runs on a blockchain. Its transactions are encrypted, but it gives you the more stable value because of the fact that it's backed by a real world asset. So some of the more popular stable coins are USDC, a USD coin, which is a cryptocurrency that's backed by the US dollar. So Luno offers that coin, and the price hovers around the same exchange rate as the rand dollar. You have stable coins like Pax Gold, which is a stable coin that's backed by gold. So it's tokenized gold, and again, that stable coin moves along the gold price curve as well. Then you have stable coins that's backed by a basket of different currencies as opposed to only the US dollar. And that was Libra, which was Facebook's concept idea of a stable coin. That was Libra's intention, to issue a stable coin cryptocurrency that's backed by the yen, the dollar, the euro, the pound, to offer people, I guess, that level of diversity. So we like stablecoins. We think that it's a nice way for people to enter the crypto space without having to grasp the complexities of Bitcoin, which is not backed by physical goods or by a currency. The Bitcoin's value is determined by supply and demand, right?
Yeah.
So stablecoin type of bridges that, because it's backed by something like other traditional assets like stocks, for example, or commodities. But it's still virtual. It still runs and operates on the blockchain, which gives you the benefits of moving it around without the need to go through an intermediary. The ability to take self-custody, so you can take self-custody of that crypto. You don't have to keep it on an exchange or with your stockbroker, and so forth. But the main benefits are speed of transaction and also fees. So
that's super interesting, right? So if you look at the original intention to trade or use it as a currency and remove the middleman, a stable coin kind of allows you to do that, right? With a lot less or no volatility, almost. You've got the same volatility as whatever it's backed by, whatever it's tracking. So for the medium of currency, that's when a stable coin, depending on what kind, could actually fulfill that role. I guess, stable coins probably aren't as exciting because there's no volatility, right? So there's no huge swings, and this is the first time I've heard of a stable coin. So I'm obviously naive at this, but I assume it's the first time because the swings aren't as massive, unless it's the rand dollar, which we all can wrap our heads around.
And so I think stablecoins have definitely fast-tracked the payments use case for cryptocurrencies overall. So what we're seeing now use cases is certain companies issuing cards, like bank cards, backed by stablecoins. So when you go to the shop, you've got a Visa card issued by, for example, Luno. We don't have a card, by the way, but a lot of crypto companies do. And that card is backed by stablecoin. And so when you go to the shop, you swipe your card just like you would swipe your normal credit card. And what happens in the background is you then effectively sell your stablecoin for rand to pay the merchant, to pay the shop. It makes a lot more sense than swiping Bitcoin at this point because of the price volatility. So it's a lot more stable. What you pay, is pretty much what you get as well. Whereas with Bitcoin, the price can go up or down, and you pay 100 rand for pizza today, but the price can jump tomorrow, and then that pizza is worth 500 rand. So it would be very expensive pizza. So I think stablecoins solve that problem. It solves the payment problem. And we've also seen payment processes like big payment processes like for example the PayUs of the world and those companies that process card payments, looking into the option to do settlements with cryptocurrency. I'm not saying PayU will do it, but just by way of an example, Visa and MasterCard also launched their own cryptocurrency business units or or teams, looking into crypto, and they all see opportunities specifically from a stablecoin perspective, and so I think that is one of the use cases that's currently playing out in front of our eyes.
Yeah. Okay. So we got crypto, we got stablecoins. Stablecoins are lining up with the original intent, but the hype around crypto is based on the volatility, and I guess that's what drives it as an asset class at the moment, and all the movement. So asset class or currency, bit of both, I guess, at the moment.
It depends on why you buy it, and it depends on your intended use. So it's clear that Bitcoin crosses many different lines. If you looking to hold it long term because you think it will outperform other asset classes, if you look to buy it long term because you see it as a hedge against inflation because of the fact that Bitcoin is a scarce digital asset, then it's an asset to you, right? But if you are a migrant worker working in Africa and you have to send money back home to your family in another country, then you'll probably see it and view it as a currency. So depending on how you use it and your intention, it can vary. But that makes it very difficult for regulators, of course, to accurately and appropriately classify it in order to regulate it. So do you regulate it as a currency? Do you regulate it as a financial product? And so that is where we are currently. We're having to decide how do we regulate it based according to the use case. Some countries like El Salvador recently declared Bitcoin as legal tender. So it is clear that from El Salvador's approach, they see it as a currency, and by default, that makes Bitcoin probably foreign currency in the eyes of most other markets because it is legal tender in one market. Other countries such as Malaysia, for example, they regulate it through the Securities Commission, so they see it as a digital asset. And in SA, the FSCA also said that they intend to regulate it as a financial product, which will also make it an asset and capital of nature. So the different users makes it difficult for regulators, but you can use it as a currency or as an asset. It doesn't really matter.
I think that's a great segue into regulation, right? And you mentioned that, so the FSCA, which is they typically, they're big in my world, right? Financial planning, they regulate all the products that can be sold and implemented in a plan. So if they're looking at it, then I would assume that it's their view is it's an asset of sorts, right? Is there a world where it could be regulated as an asset and as a currency within a country?
I'm not sure if that's possible. What I do know, and maybe I can just give an overview of regulations or the proposed regulations for South Africa, and it's basically threefold. Firstly, cryptocurrency. So firstly, the focus is on the cryptocurrency companies such as Luno, not per se on Bitcoin or crypto itself, right? So cryptocurrency businesses will be required to register with the Financial Intelligence Center, which is a good thing because they will be forced to do Know Your Customer, which is basically where companies ask you for your ID number and your ID details when you open an account with that business. That's important. So I think that's the first step, which is good, and that will become mandatory. Secondly, there's a focus on from the FSCA perspective to ensure that cryptocurrency companies don't offer financial advice whilst unregulated. So there'll be likely requirement for the Lunos of the world to obtain a license from the FSCA as a financial service provider, and so Bitcoin will then be deemed or classified as a financial product, and so from an asset perspective. And then thirdly, there's a question on exchange control, and that is something that the Reserve Bank is looking in, and they are looking at the movement of cryptocurrencies between different wallets and when that contravenes exchange control regulation. So we've got these three sort of focus areas currently, and we're working closely with the regulator to see, to advise them and guide them into, hopefully making the best decisions. But the South African regulators have been very pragmatic, and they are leading the charge across African central banks to put in rules, crypto-specific rules in place for the market, which we welcome at Luno.
Yeah. So it sounds like, whenever the FSCA gets involved, it's it's doing so to protect the end user, the client in this instance, right? So from the person who's being given advice and purchasing the asset, so it's to protect them from being missold and Ponzi schemes and all sorts of things. One of the things you didn't mention is SARS, right? Because up until now, I believe that the regulators are trying to protect people like me. But then when we, with our South African hat on, that we pay so much to SARS, and now SARS surely wants a bite at this as well. What does that look like at the moment?
So the current process is that the onus is on the individual as the taxpayer, the taxpayer to declare the cryptocurrency gains and losses to SARS. The fact that crypto isn't regulated doesn't mean that you're not liable for tax on your gains. You're not able to claim a loss, on cryptocurrency. So SARS made that very clear. They do have guidance on the website as well, and they've also amended the tax return form. So those of you that do your own tax returns would have probably noticed that some of the questions relate to cryptocurrency, and when you tick on that, it opens up a form for you to fill in your proceeds and your cost, etc. So the key point is that if you trade, meaning if you buy and sell, then it is likely that you will have to submit your tax information to SARS. And the key point, the key trigger there for when you would have to submit it is when you dispose of crypto. So when you just hold, you don't sell your crypto, you just hold. That's typically an unrealized gain, so there's no tax event. But if you sell your crypto, then you have to basically deduct your selling price from your cost price at a very basic level, and then the difference is a gain or a loss. And that needs to be declared to SARS. At Luno, we don't currently share customer data with SARS on a routine basis. We don't submit your documents to SARS similar to what to our banks and asset managers do that. The onus is on you, and you can log into your Luno account. You can download PDF statements with the Luno letterhead to show your transactions and all CSV files that you can calculate your gains and losses, but we don't report that on your behalf.
Okay. So then I guess from a tax perspective, it's kind of like trading a share. If you trade it and it's under 3 years, it's got to be declared as income. And if it's over that, then it would be treated as capital in nature. But
Well, I think more or less, I'm not a tax expert. People can actually go onto Luno's YouTube channel. We did a tax webinar with Mazars, the audit and tax firm, last year. Where we asked them all these questions, and they, as the experts, answered them. So if you're unsure, go into Luno, just type in Luno Mazars tax on Google, and you will find that video. But there's a capital gains element, there's an income tax element, and depending on your intention and how you use crypto, if you trade, there might be different tax treatment, and if you invest, there's a different tax treatment. So that's also important to consider.
Okay. So staying on sort of asset class, when we speak as the financial planning profession, when we speak to asset managers, because our clients are interested in crypto and those things, they kind of always steer away from, we don't want to invest in crypto, we like the blockchain, right? So briefly, what is blockchain versus crypto?
Okay, blockchain is the underlying ledger that records all cryptocurrency transactions. So again, you can think of it as a ledger or database at your business, at your company. You have debits and credits in that ledger, and so banks as well. When you send a payment from your bank to another bank, they each have their own ledgers, and these ledgers are databases. And blockchain is similar; it's a database. The difference being there's one global database as opposed to different individual databases in closed systems that have to speak to each other. So when you do a payment from your bank to another bank, your bank needs to debit credit their ledger, the other bank needs to debit credit their ledger, and that creates delays and costs because people have to sit and do that. And that adds complexity. And sometimes when you do international payments, there are even 3 or 4 banks involved in that transaction, right? So then you have 3 or 4 different ledgers. With blockchain, there's one global digital ledger. And this ledger records all transactions, all cryptocurrency transactions. It also ensures that transactions cannot be altered, cannot be changed. So it adds a high level of security. And one of the features there is that it's not possible to change the content, to change the amount, to change the recipient address, or to alter that transaction manually in any way. So it adds a lot of security to blockchain. And that is why a lot of companies are interested in looking into adopting crypto payments. For example, airlines, where they experience a lot of fraud and people can have the ability to reverse transactions and card payments. If a payment is processed on the Bitcoin blockchain, that payment is confirmed and it cannot be altered with, cannot be reversed, it cannot be changed. So the main difference between that and the rest is that Bitcoin blockchain is one global ledger that captures crypto transactions, cannot be altered with, compared to typical ledgers which sits in a closed system and have to be managed and can be manipulated.
Yeah. And then I guess you've got multiple ledgers now trying to talk to each other, which is an issue. Whereas if you've got one universal ledger, like you say, it's a central place where everything is stored and regulated there.
Yeah.
Just maybe security around investing in Bitcoin. Like, how do you? I don't even know how to phrase the question. Right? How do you protect Bitcoin, right, on your users' behalf?
It's a very important question, and I think these days it's very easy for any person to just spin up a crypto exchange. They can literally Google it and start their own exchange. But very few cryptocurrency companies have the ability to safeguard customer information, customer data, and customer funds. So some of the things we do at Luno, we are ISO certified, meaning that we comply with global regulations from information security perspective. So customers can be assured that the information that they share with Luno is safe. We do quarterly audits of customer funds, or verifications rather. So SARS, Luno's audit partner, on a quarterly basis, verify that the cryptocurrency that customers see on the Luno app, the digits on the app, that is actually it's safely accounted for in the back end, and it's safe. And then we also do things like security audits, etc. So but of course it's not easy for the average person to know that and to see that. So if you considering investing in cryptocurrency or dipping your toes into cryptocurrency, you have to do a little bit of Google research on the business, right? So you have to make sure that they have got an office in SA. I think that's important to deal with a local company as opposed to with a global international company. So there has to be a local footprint. They should ideally engage with regulators, because it's an unregulated environment. They should at least have some comments in the media or proof that they've engaged with regulators. They have to disclose the security processes, or at least some of it online on the website to give you clarity around that. Try and find employees on platforms like LinkedIn, and also read up reviews on Hello Peter, on app stores, and to try and see if there are any red flags. So, a little bit of 15-minute research online can tell a lot about the company, but security is the most important factor at Luno, and we've got teams dedicated at ensuring that customer funds is secure.
And then maybe leading on from that, how do you guys vet the cryptocurrency that you offer on your platform?
Yeah, so I mentioned earlier that there are 9,800, probably more than 10,000 cryptocurrencies out there, of which I think many of those are scams, unfortunately. So yeah, it's the responsibility of the cryptocurrency platform company to do vetting and to find the cryptocurrencies that are most reputable. So we go through a process. We currently only offer 8 cryptocurrencies on Luno, mainly because we think the industry is still in its early stages. Most people still don't know what crypto is and what Bitcoin is, and so if you offer them the option to buy 200-300 cryptocurrencies, it just gets very, very complex. So we look at the use cases. Does this coin offer something different than Bitcoin? Is it just something similar than Bitcoin and not really worth offering our customers? We look at the teams behind it. Do they have reputable people, credible people building that cryptocurrency, and do they have a long-term plan for the cryptocurrency or vision? Security is important, but then also liquidity, because we feel that it should be as easy for a customer to sell their crypto for rands as it was when they purchased the crypto with rands. So there's no use you buy crypto with your rands and then you hold it, but there's no willing buyer to buy it from you the day you want to sell it, right? So liquidity must also be there, and that's very important. So we got a list of 20, 30 things that we go through. Only once we're happy, then we will go on and we will add a new coin. So there's a bit of a process behind that. And so, as I said, we currently offer 8 coins at Luno.
Okay. Look, we've got a whole lot of questions, but before we get to those, I just wanted to ask, you briefly touched on like the demographic of your user, right? So this isn't really in relation to crypto, but it's more around the data. So you're obviously able to see everything that happens in the back end, and you can start profiling and obtaining the data on everybody who's using this, right? What does that profile look like? And is there any additional intent for that data?
So the current profile of the typical crypto buyer in SA is male at this point. So the last time I checked, there was 68% male, 32% female split. In some countries, such as Nigeria, that's actually much worse. It's 90% male, 10% female. Sure. So South Africa is more, it's more split, sort of almost more even, diverse. More diverse. I don't have the data for the traditional investment. Maybe you have that, Mark, around the male-female split. I think it's very, very similar. And so yeah, there's lots of work still to be done for, from our perspective to ensure that crypto and crypto investing is also something that women and our female customers also understand and would like to do. So that is a focus for us. The typical customer is younger, so roughly 60% of our customers is aged under 40, which you would imagine that percentage to be slightly bigger. In Nigeria, 90% of our customers being aged under 30. So again, sure. Young male. In SA, it's male and young, but it's not completely skewed towards those sides. And then, as I said, the average transaction just over 400 Rand, 450 Rand. 70% of customers still buy Bitcoin as their first crypto, and then others buy Ether, Ethereum, and XRP, Ripple as well. But Bitcoin is still the most popular. And they hold onto their crypto for 10 months. So that's just at a high level. We don't really use this data internally to offer different products to different customers. Not at this stage. So it's just interesting to see how the profile of crypto buyers develop and change over time. As I said a couple of years ago, people used to speculate a lot more, and I think we had a lot more male customers 2-3 years ago than currently. So it's just interesting to see how the split moves forward. Yeah, and being headquartered in the UK, do you speak to that market as well? So Luno, firstly, is proudly founded in South Africa. The company was actually founded in Stellenbosch. We had our first office in Long Street in Cape Town, and then from there to Strand Street and Albury in the Waterkant, and in the CBD and in Joburg. Our SA team is our global operational hub. So that South African team members provide services to our global customers across Southeast Asia, Europe, the US, and also Australia and Africa. So we provide services to our customers in the UK and all of these markets. We interact with our teams across different offices as well. So we want global business, with the bulk of the team, over 500 of Luno's employees being based between Cape Town and Johannesburg. Okay. Look, I think let's jump into this pile of questions here, and then we'll wrap up. So we've got 15 minutes.
I'm going to leave out, so excuse me guys, I'm going to leave out some of the like Luno specific questions, like will you be partnering with this person and this crypto and whatever. But so this is a good one, and something that I didn't really know about you guys, but Brandon asks, what starting point would you look at for education in this space? Most people are just trying to sell me something as opposed to educating. And do you have a starting point? And through engaging with you guys in prep for the webinar, you've put out a lot of I don't want to say self-help, but like informative videos, right?
No, I believe, and we believe that investment or buying or using crypto starts with education. That's the crucial first step. You need to educate yourself. And there's this saying that you need to spend at least 100 hours researching something, and no, we don't have time for that always. So at Luno, we offer a learning portal. So you can go to Luno's learning portal on our website to learn about the ABCs of crypto. We also have a discover section in our app and website where you can also read up about the news and news events. We host webinars. We hosted 9 events in March, from podcasts to in-person events to webinars. So follow Luno on social media or on Telegram to stay up to track. But so from a book perspective, I recently read Simon Dingle's book called In Math We Trust. Which I thought was a very, very good introduction to Bitcoin and blockchain, and I think it's a very easy read. So I bought mine on Loot. It should be fairly easy to get access to that one, but yeah, I would recommend that book for sure.
Right. Thanks. Let's see here. So just a Luno question. When you try to purchase crypto on Luno, the maximum transaction is 50,000. Is that maximum per transaction? Or what are the limits, and who sets those limits?
There is no limit of 50,000, and I've got the suspicion that this person might have been dealing with a Luno impersonator or a scammer. On Luno, you can buy crypto from as little as R1, with as little as R1. So you can literally deposit R1 from your bank account to Luno using your reference number, and then you can start with R1 or R10. So if it's someone tells you have to buy specific amounts worth of crypto, then they're most likely trying to trick you into a scam or something. Okay. So maybe Mark, just high level, you just to get going on Luno, you need to firstly install the Luno app or go to luno.com on the website, and you need to sign up. Similar process to when you opening an account with Facebook. You have to create a username and password, and then we will ask you personal information. So again, similar to when you're opening an account with a bank, or when you open up an Easy Equities account, you have to type in your ID number, submit a copy of your ID document, type in your address, answer a couple of questions, and once we've received an information of you, we will then verify your account. So then you can start transacting. And the first step then, obviously, education. You need to read up about crypto first. But if you've decided that you want to dip your toes and you want to start with 10, 20 rands, then you have to send money from your bank account to Luno's bank account using a specific reference number. That will enable us to allocate the funds to your account. You can do so through 2 or 3 options. You can do an EFT payment, you can do an instant EFT payment, and very soon we're going to launch card payments. You can purchase crypto with card on Luno as well. So you have to buy crypto with rands that you send from your bank to Luno's bank. And once you've done that, then you can go through a very simple process to buy crypto.
All right, cool. That makes sense. And maybe just following on from that, you guys have offered a little promo code to anybody. Marcus will put it in the chat. But once you've gone through that entire process that Marius just spoke about, there's a space. Marcus will put it in the chat where you can enter the promo code, and they've gifted 50 Rand towards your first purchase, right? So thanks so much for that. This is quite interesting from Percy. So he's saying, given that crypto is over $1 trillion US market cap, what are the chances realistically of the crypto market crashing?
Look, it's highly unlikely. I guess it's not impossible. What can crash is the Bitcoin price can crash, and the Bitcoin price or crypto prices react to many different factors. They react to global macro events like wars between markets. They react to trade wars. They react to global pandemics. But they also react to events in the crypto industry. For example, if there's a big hack, if a big cryptocurrency platform got hacked and customer funds got stolen, or if a regulator decided to ban cryptocurrency in a specific market, and that that sends a bad signal to the market. All of those factors will impact the price of cryptocurrency in those markets. But I do think that we have sufficient adoption at this point with institutions and the likes of JP Morgan and those companies starting to also offer cryptocurrency services. Last year, we saw the first Bitcoin ETF being listed on the NASDAQ. There's a cryptocurrency company called Coinbase also being listed on the NASDAQ. So I think there's a lot of proof and points that shows us that the industry is likely going to continue to grow, not necessarily from a price perspective. So the Bitcoin price isn't always, a lot of people use the price as the proxy or the signal to show that the industry is moving forward or not. Fair enough.
Yeah.
It's forced onto all of us through the media and through through social media. But there's a lot happening behind the scenes, and including regulations, and the US as well launching a massive coordinated approach among regulators in the country to regulate crypto and to position the US as one of the leaders in crypto and blockchain going forward. So the price can crash for sure because of factors, and those factors also impact the prices of stocks and commodities at the same time. And I think it's unlikely that crypto or Bitcoin will just crash and die, and no one will because there are already hundreds of millions of people globally that own crypto. So yeah.
Yeah, so I think the volatility, it's similar to an equity stock, the volatility, right? So news and market noise will drive movement. But it's not like the Bitcoin is going to go to zero and stay at zero and never come back, right? So there will be volatility when it's being used as an asset class. I think that's just the nature of the investment.
No, correct.
Let's see here. So what does Luno do about anti-money laundering? I think you touched on that it is a focus. But
the first step there, Mark, is to know your customer. So as I said, when customers open Luno accounts, they have to provide a little bit of information about themselves, ID number, personal information, address, etc. And as I said right at the start, we also do sanction screening. So we ensure that these customers don't, that they're not in sanctioned markets or that we're allowed to onboard them. So that's in essence the first step. We do. We also do transaction monitoring to ensure that to pick up suspicious behavior. Customers, a new customer suddenly buying 100 million rands worth of crypto is obviously suspicious. So we do monitor things like that and then report that appropriately as well. So it's worth a separate webinar, I think, to run through all the processes. But it's a very big focus of ours. Yeah. It
sounds to me you do AML much like any financial institution, right? Yeah. The message that keeps coming through for me is how you voluntarily are doing these things. My view of I think crypto, I think Bitcoin, I think Luno in a South African context, right? But it's so much the role that Luno is trying to play or is playing in the market is one of a responsible market player, right? You want this thing to last, and you're putting the measures in place to protect not just yourselves but your users. There's been a massive shift in my perception, I must say, just from this this webinar. So yeah, well done on that. Just seeing here, so Jerome, is Luno locally based or internationally based? We've seen the SARS block the usage of cards for internationally based crypto providers such as Kraken or Crypto.com. Do are you aware of that? And what are the ramifications if I did purchase on those platforms?
Yeah, so last year, the SARS did issue a note saying that we're not allowed to purchase crypto with South African issued bank cards on international cryptocurrency platforms. Now, I'm not sure exactly how it works and what happens, for example, when you purchase something with your card on an overseas e-commerce platform like Amazon, for example. I think you do have limits. I'm not sure, but there's absolutely no impact on the local purchasing of crypto in sort of on Luno. So you can 100% legally purchase crypto with your rands on Luno in South Africa or any other cryptocurrency platform. There's no issue with that. The issue was just around using your SA card, your rand bank card, to purchase crypto on foreign cryptocurrency companies, and there was an issue with that, and that's not allowed at this point.
Okay.
No.
But yeah, so again, it's not a, it doesn't have this like dodgy feel to it. Those are legitimate issues, and they're just trying to protect the end consumer again.
Exactly, because these companies don't have a local footprint, they don't have a presence in South Africa, and when consumers run into issues with funds not reflecting, it's very difficult for law enforcement or for the regulator themselves to get in touch with those companies, right? So I think for that reason, it's all about consumer protection. Yeah.
And again, I didn't put consumer protection crypto in the same bucket, which I do now, which is great. Look, Marius, this has been really, really informative. Thank you so much. My whole perception has changed completely. When I first heard about it, this was a get rich quick scheme for me. I was going to be the guy who turned his 1,000 rand into 1 million and whatever by just leaving it there. But the knowledge is key in power, and thank you so much for sharing from your side. I really appreciate it. And then lastly from our side, I hope you've been able to share value and information around crypto, what it is, and how it potentially fits into your overall wealth strategy. The only way we can understand what your wealth strategy looks like and if you should or shouldn't include crypto and how much you should is through going through a lifestyle wealth design plan, which is our focus, right? So we're always big on planning. Planning leads to outcomes, and those outcomes will dictate where and what you should invest in. And this is potentially an option to undertake, right? So once again, Marius, thanks a lot, and thanks to everyone for being here today. It's been really great, and we'll see you next month for the next one. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everyone.